course, they call in Rudy Giuliani on Newsmax next. This is always a dope. Rudy Giuliani rips President Biden as news breaks about Putin declared special military operation in Ukraine. And by the way, that's adorable. Special military operation in Ukraine. You mean the invasion? And explosions were reported. I see. So shit just exploded. He was just, he was doing a special military operation. It was like a regular one, but it had glitter on it. It was like glitter bomb military thing. And then there was also explosions. Just randomly. And they got him on the phone, I think. I don't know. Again, the dope, weakling, Giuliani rips Biden as Putin military operation news drops. Yeah, it's just, the news just dropped of it. It just dropped like it was hot.
Okay, welcome back. Live picture Ukraine, Kiev, Ukraine, the capital city, as Vladimir Putin has declared a special military operation will be conducted in Ukraine tonight.
Yeah, it's very special. He declared a special military operation. It's sort of like it's like an episode of Facts of Life where Blair finds out she's pregnant and has to make a tough decision and decides to threaten nuclear war.
Of course, making it appear as though he had no other choice to do this. There are.
Have you been listening to Greg Kelly? He didn't. Biden's weakness drove him to do this. He didn't want to attack Ukraine. He has to. He sees weakness and he goes for it. Never mind the fact that he's been talking about Ukraine like he's, Hitler in 1932.
Scattered reports of explosions and rockets. There are reports on other networks of even explosions in Kiev, which is a long way away from the.
No, there have been reports of explosions at the airport. The Russians took the airport apparently, since that time, the Ukrainians have taken it back.
That's where this all started, in that eastern area. I mean, you're talking, maybe even 500 or 1,000 miles away. So if those reports are accurate, and we're not saying they are, we don't want to.
No, why would? No. We're not saying those are accurate. I mean, it's bullshit. How do you trust the American? Let me check in with RT, see what the Russians have released as a press release, and then we'll know what's real.
Gun, because everybody's been jumping the gun on this thing for the last 2 weeks. But those.
Have they? They've been jumping the gun? Have they? You mean by saying he's going to attack, it's imminent, he's already made his decision, and then, oops, looks like, yeah, that's true. He already has. He didn't bring plasma to the fucking front line for nothing.
If those reports are accurate, that would certainly indicate a more full-scale type of invasion, and that's what Vladimir Putin himself is indicating tonight. Excuse me there, something in my throat. Joining me now, former personal attorney for President Trump, Rudy Giuliani, talking to us tonight just about this. Sir, I just wanted to get your take real quick. Obviously, we've got a situation in Ukraine. Yeah. We've got an administration that has had a very interesting past with Ukraine. The fact that we're jumping, it just feels to me like, from what we heard today from Pelosi and the rest of the crew, they're trying to push the American people into feeling perhaps more comfortable with our involvement in something like this as we watch it start tonight. Do you get that indication as well?
The indication that I get, Rob, is, I have to say, I don't think they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
They are in way.
Yeah. I don't know what you're doing with that fucking shirt. Seriously. Did you just come from a playground? What is happening?
Way over their heads.
Yes, they're way over their heads. They don't know what they're doing. I mean, if they knew what they were doing, they would have just given the Donbass and the Luhansk area to Putin and just let him salami slice his way across the country without firing a shot.
Putin played this almost like a symphony conductor, and he had basically.
I've been to the symphony. Most conductors aren't in a basement yelling at the string section to agree with them.
He made Biden. He kind of stretched it out to make Biden look more and more foolish. I think he did it on.
He did it on purpose. He stretched it out. Never mind the fact that he was planning on doing something, and then they're planning on doing these like false flags. And the Biden administration came out and said they're planning on some false flags, and he was like, fuck, well, we can't do a false flag now. And they kept undermining it until they just simply had to do this roll in.
I mean, he could have invaded 4 weeks ago.
Yeah, they could have, but they were toying with them. That's what they were. They were just they were playing with them. He could have done it 4 weeks ago, but he was like, nah, I'll wait for the thaw when they said that's precisely when I'll do it.
Instead, he spent 4 weeks, and if you recall, every day Biden was predicting an invasion. It'll be in 2 or 3.
Yeah, and it was, yes, 2 to 3 weeks ago, he was saying it'll be in 2 or 3 weeks.
Days. It'll be in 2 or 3 days.
Right.
He sounded like an incompetent weatherman.
No, he was warning them, and the Ukrainians were like, we don't think so. And he was like, no, they're really going to do it. Like, I don't know. And then they left the troops. They did war games with the Belarusian military, and then they didn't leave. Like, oh, maybe there is something to this.
And then he starts with that big exaggeration, like, it'll be the mother of all sanctions. I think when Putin looked at the sanction, I think he actually probably felt like calling him and saying, why not double it? I mean, gee.
Yeah. Well, what about?
Well, you can't double all of something. They froze all of their assets in the United States. They can't remove them from the SWIFT system. That's a European thing. The Europeans are responsible for that part of it. But we've done everything else around that in totality.
What about the pipeline, though? They finally, I mean, obviously the administration blew that, but Germany then jumps on the pipeline.
Yeah, they blew the pipeline, which never got finished and is now on hold. Not just us putting it on hold with like not allowing them to find insurance to support it and to like cover any repairs or damage, which would have taken money out of our system to go protect Russia's pipeline with Germany. But also we actually got Germany actually in on this. And they're actually rescinding the pipeline.
Then they follow.
You see, they have a president, we don't. Now,
They don't have a president. They have a dictator.
Evil man.
Yeah.
But
he's an evil man, but like the cool kind of evil. He's like Thanos and Negan and stuff like that. Sure, Negan had rape camps and beat innocent people to death with a bat wrapped in barbed wire, but his jacket, you know what I mean?
Putin is a brilliant man.
Yeah, he's KGB.
Yeah, he's KGB. They're all brilliant. All of them are brilliant. That's why the United States beat them in both the entirety of the Cold War and the post-Cold War. Yeah, that's why.
So Putin is prepared for this.
Yeah, he's totally prepared. That's why he brought all of his guys into a big dome and was yelling at them to back this stupid idea. And they're all sweating profusely and going, I'm not sure if I'm in on it. Are you in on it or not? I don't know.
Our incompetent isn't prepared for it, even though he's had 2 months notice. So Putin was prepared for every sanction imaginable. That's why he...
Yeah, he was stacking money during the Trump years. Because he knew that at the very least the Europeans would be upset when he took, if Trump got reelected, he could move into Ukraine, Trump would ride the brake on the American side, and the Europeans would be divided, especially with Nord Stream done by that time, they'd be divided in their reaction to him. But then Trump lost, like the loser that he is.
Started shoring up his relationship with China a year ago.
China, yeah. China currently has more economic trade with Ukraine.
As Biden came in,
and Kazakhstan,
he and Xi said, let's test him. He looks like a weakling. He's always been a weakling. His own cabinet secretary said he's never gotten anything right.
Yeah, the Gates quote. They just love it.
Policy.
40 years.
He was always.
And by the way, it wasn't his cabinet secretary. That guy doesn't work in the Biden administration, nor would he. And that guy was wrong. We're out of Afghanistan.
Oh, and now they don't think he's demented? I mean, they're not.
Well, no, you mean has dementia. Demented and dementia are two different things. Dementia being the disease that makes you confused. Demented means crazy in this context or whatever. In the case, like, I'll give you an example. I'll use it in a sentence. Vladimir Putin is fucking demented.
Silly liberal fools like in America who lie to themselves. So this was going to happen, and he did everything he could to create it. First thing Biden said was, there'll be tremendous sanctions, but no military, no.
Yeah. Do you think Trump would have put boots on the ground in Ukraine? Think any American president's going to do that? They're not a NATO country. And by the way, please tell me, please follow this up with Rob Schmidt and Rudy Giuliani saying we should have troops on the ground in Ukraine right now.
No military. Yeah. So now Putin has an open field.
That's no different than under anyone. We're not sending troops in to protect Ukraine. We give them military hardware. And at what point it must be said that right now, Rudy Giuliani and Rob Schmidt of Newsmax are arguing that we should have American troops on the ground in Ukraine fighting Russia. Clearly. Right? Because if taking that off the table and saying that's not a part of the equation is wrong, then it should have been part of the equation. Correct? What a bunch of dummies.
So he makes him look like a fool for about a month and a half, 2 months.
And Biden doesn't seem to care. It's weird.
Well, Ukraine, although they don't want to be with Russia, have to look at Biden and say, do we really want his help?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do we want help from America, the biggest economy in the world, the largest military in the world, a functioning democracy that was able even to weather a shitheel like Donald Trump and still maintain its function as a democracy overall? Or do we want to side with a dictator who snuffs his opposition, murders people in the street, and rounds up protesters? Gee, I don't know. Which one's tougher?
To be able to help. He got his own people killed in Afghanistan.
Mr.
Mayor, we're in a very.
He got his own people killed in Afghanistan. 64 American soldiers were killed in Afghanistan during Trump's 4 years in office, and nothing changed. After the very first one died, he could have gone, we're out. I ran on getting us out, we're out. And he didn't. And 64 people died. And I would argue, and I have many times, that the people who died during our evacuation are the responsibility of Donald Trump, because there was a crush at the airport because of work the Trump administration refused to do after they set the date for evacuation. They said we're getting out by a certain time and did none of the work to get the embassy staff out, to get the special immigrant visa folks out, and to get none of the military out. Sorry. Trump is 100% responsible for all the deaths that happened in the evacuation. Fuck you. Prove me wrong.
Position right now. Do I think they want war there? I don't think so. I don't think they want. I think they read the polls.
Yeah.
Probably if they read anything.
Yeah.
And the polls say that something like only 30% of the American people, or 35%, would go to war for Ukraine.
It's 26% tonight. That was the number.
Like, that's where you guys are going to get out? That's where you're bailing on this? It was 29%? Yeah, they read the polls. Like, this is just a sign of, this isn't Joe Biden tactically understanding that if you put American soldiers there and they get killed, then that's an attack on NATO forces, and therefore we're in World War fucking III. And maybe that's not the most advisable position to be in. Maybe not the safest, most intelligent strategic choice in this fucking circumstance. But Rudy's like, nah, they probably just have their finger in the wind. Probably just a poll decision. Yeah. But I'm glad they brought him on to tell us, strategically. And by the way, you're watching Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide. I don't edit these clips. I didn't cut that shit down. I didn't make them bail out right when Rudy was going, that's probably polling. That's probably why we're not. Biden's probably so weak. He's just listening to the American people. 29% of the American people don't, want to go to war or would commit troops to defend Ukraine. And everybody else is like, nah, just slow your roll, pal. That might involve nuclear war. And then they bail out at that point. I, on my show, on Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide, we go through the whole clip the way they put it out. So, yeah.